Hi Kingdom Come fans! Ever wondered how the collector's edition charter actually came to life? What sketches, ideas and experiments came before the final version that some of you might already have at home?
Then you are in the right place. My name is Markéta. You can find me under the art name Margarita Ars, and I am the author of the artistic rendering of the charter.
So, what was the brief? Basically, the task was to create a charter that looked historical, was super easy to read and colorful.
All historical charters have their charm. I personally love the medieval privileges from the papal office. However, charters are usually not colored. They include at most artistically processed black and white first letters and the first line. The exceptions are some indulgence privileges or document granting a coat of arms for a noble family, city or guild. The text content was provided by Warhorse Studio, but I had to invent a special alphabet for this single document. My inspiration was the imperial charters of Sigismund of Luxembourg and the royal charters of Wenceslav IV of Luxembourg. I simplified the script from these examples and I rounded it according to papal privileges from the end of the 14th century. In the first line, I kept decorative capital letters at the beginning of words, which are found in imperial documents of this period. These capital letters are based on the long capital letters in the first line of papal charters, the so-called elongata.
So, where do we even add the colors? Maybe start with a fancy decorated first letter.
The first decorated letter at the beginning of a book or chapter is called an initial. And when I was thinking about the design, my first thing which came to my mind was the famous Bible of King Wenceslav IV. At least 9 book painters participated in its decoration. And now it's kept in the Austrian National Library in Vienna. I greatly simplified my initial, but the colors were supposed to resemble the painted illustration from Wenceslav's Bible. Illustrations in medieval manuscripts are called illuminations, and the term comes from the Latin word illuminare, meaning to illuminate because of shiny gold which used to decorate them. I would like to remind you that, in reality, in this type of charter, a decorated initial would probably not be there, and if there was, it would only be in black and white. Another colored part you could find in this charter are in the coats of arms of nobles, which are painted under their signatures.
Normally, we would find coat of arms in bespoke seals attached to the charter. Now it's time to prepare the materials and actually start creating. A scribe can do it without a quill, ink and parchment.
Parchment is hand-tanned animal skin. In this case, goat skin prepared on one side. I didn't make it myself, but bought it from a specialized parchment maker, just as you would in the Middle Ages. Before writing, I have to prepare it well, so that the ink can soak into it and the parchment can be lined. I can use a lead or a silver pencil. My writing quill comes from goose feathers, and I have to harden it before cutting. I do the cutting myself with a special carved knife. The script size of standard charters is 2 to 3 millimeters, and thus I had to prepare the correct nib tip. I make the ink from the parasitic wasp galls on oak leaves. This oak girl ink has very special properties, and you can learn more about its production in my video about the writing materials of medieval scribes.
First, I need to practice every letter of the alphabet. Then I can start writing the charter from start to finish. Slowly, carefully, and without mistakes. Normally, after the writing was done, painter would take over. Okay, but I am here alone, and the first letter will have 3 main colors: green, blue, and pink. So, what pigments should I use?
Medieval pigments for the production of colors were made from minerals, colored clays, and chemical compounds containing mercury, lead, arsenic, and in the case of books, plants.
The main source of green was the mineral malachite, mined in copper mines. Blue could come from the same place, from the stone azurite. But I chose the rare lapis lazuli, imported all the way from Afghanistan.
Minerals are always ground into a fine powder, which is further purified to separate the colored component from the uncolored ones and to make the pigment as pure as possible. It is then mixed with binders depending on its final use, such as a panel painting or an illumination on parchment. For parchment, and later paper, an Arabic gum, egg white or honey water were used. The colors were then put into the shells and used like today's watercolors. Other powders, so-called pigments, from clays and compounds, work in the same way. In the charter, you could see my malachite green, ultramarine blue, ochre, and white mixed in this exact way.
And what about the pink? It could come from a toxic pigment made from the mineral cinnabar. Or I could use pigment from a plant. One option is a Brazil wood.
The sappan tree bark was not imported from Brazil in the Middle Ages, but from India. And the name Brazil comes from the Arabic language and means red. Brazil wood can conjure up many shades of pink, depending on the method of cooking and pigment capture. However, the disadvantage of plant pigments is that they are not light resistant and can fade over many years. Therefore, plant pigments were mainly used in manuscripts.
All that's left is to add a few final details. Trim the edges of the parchment and it's ready to print. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more about how artists and craftsmen live in the Middle Ages and how we study their work today, make sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me on social media.